Beautiful night for Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports, and we are in the Budweiser bleachers for our annual broadcast out with the fans as the Cubs look for their 6th consecutive win. They have won 11 of 12. They've got a 4-game lead currently for the 2nd wildcard spot in the National League. And great to have you with us. We're out in the Budweiser patio. What a gorgeous night. The weather has really cooperated here on this homestand, and the bats have too, haven't they, JD?
Yeah, indeed they have. Cubs have won 11 of 12 early on in that streak. The pitching kind of led the way, but lately the bats have been red hot. You talked about it last night. The approach has been relentless from these Cub hitters all year long. They've been at or near the top of the league in terms of pitches per plate appearance. They continue, and I hate to use the cliche, but they do continue to grind out at bats. When we take a look at some numbers over the last 8 games, opposing starters averaging just 4 1/3 innings per start. The Brewers last night as a team threw close to 200 pitches. Starters having a 7.68 ERA against the Cubs in this stretch, and no opposing starter has completed 6 innings in the last 8 games.
The last opposing starter to do that was Matt Garza on August 1st. He went 6 innings against the Cubs. And Jason Hamill goes into this start 7-0 lifetime against the Brewers. Cubs baseball from the bleachers coming up next. Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Honda, great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance Event. Now at your Honda dealer. Napa, home of Napa know-how. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Subway, make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. And by Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. Chicago Cubs baseball in beautiful high definition on WGN TV is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Let's get the Brewers starting lineup written out by manager Craig Counsell. Replaced Ron Renicky earlier this season. Shane Peterson in the leadoff spot once again, but he's playing center tonight. Jonathan Lucroy, the catcher, bats second ahead of Ryan Braun and Adam Lind, who had a big night in game one. Davis, Jeanette, Segura, Hernan Perez playing third, and former Cub Matt Garza batting ninth. Jason Hamill is ready to work, trying to improve on his perfect 7-0 mark against Milwaukee. 2-0 this season. And we are underway as Peterson fouls on a fastball at 93.
7-0 with a 2.18 ERA against the Brewers in his career through 9 starts. For the Cubs this year, he's 6-5 with a 3.17 ERA. He's making his 22nd start.
Joe Smith's the inside corner. 32 years old, 6'6", 225, Jason Hamill. See the numbers for Peterson. He was in right last night for Ryan Braun. Back in center tonight, makes his 12th straight start. And he's been good lately.
That journeyman type guy, he spent a lot of time in AAA, not a whole lot of time in the big leagues. Not a lot of power, not a lot of speed, but a high average hitter as a minor leaguer.
Called strike 3. Good start for Hamill. One away here in the first.
Cubs defensively tonight aligned the same way they have the 3 previous games, with Miguel Montero back in action. He's behind the plate. Outfield Schwarber, Fowler, Soler. Infield Bryant, Russell, Coughlin, and Rizzo.
Here's Lucroy, lined out twice hard to third last night, went 0 for 4. And hitless in his last 15 at bats.
Feel like chattering? Now we're out here in the bleachers.
Yeah, let's have at it.
He can hit. He can hit. He can hit. So better.
The 1-0 right down the middle, and he blew it past him. A foul tip, actually. It's 1-1. Trip Gibson is the man calling balls and strikes. Joliet's Mark Carlson, the crew chief, at first. Gabe Morales at second. And Eric Cooper over at third. Giants lost at home today, 2-0 to the Astros. So the Cubs lead in the wild card is at 4. It's for the second spot, and they're 2.5 behind the Pirates, who are in St. Louis again tonight for the top wild card position. 8.5 behind first place St. Louis.
Hamill just snapped off a real good slider. He's fastball slider primarily. He used his curveball a little bit more in his last start.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Gorgeous night. Wind blowing in, not very hard. Paul Conrad is talking, but we can't hear him. But he's telling you it's 74 with an east wind at 7.
It just got a little chillier in here.
At first I thought you were referencing the sun going down behind the stands, but it's Ryan Braun coming to the plate.
Of the fans for Braun.
Back stiffness kept him out of the lineup last night. He pinch hit late, went 0 for 1. And he sends a fly ball very deep left. Schwarber will watch it go. That's number 250 in Ryan Braun's career, and his last home run was off Jason Hamill in Milwaukee on July 31st. So he's now 1 off the club record set by Robin Yount.
First pitch ambush there from Ryan Braun. 15th home run that Jason has allowed this year. Just a little get over slider. Hovered out over the outer third. And that's number 20 on the year for Braun.
So Yount hit 251 in his long Brewer career, and Ryan Braun just 1 behind him. And ball 1 on Adam Lind. He had 2 hits last night, a double, a home run, and he scored twice. Well, the Cubs have not trailed much lately, have they?
No, they have not.
I think this is only the second inning during this streak here, these last 6 games, including tonight, in which they have trailed. They trailed in 1 inning during the entire San Francisco series. 3-0 on Lynn.
Well, this is a Brewer club, obviously, has been hurt with the trades. Aramis Ramirez back to Pittsburgh, Gerardo Parra gone, Carlos Gomez gone, but they still have some dangerous guys in the middle of this order. I mean, LaCroix, Braun, Lynn, Davis, pretty solid.
It's Craig Counsell. Brewers going through a major transition right now. Ron Renicky was let go early, a month into the season after a 7-18 start. Counsell was in the front office. They've gone 41-48 with him as their manager. They have spent all but 2 game days this season in last place. Doug Melvin stepping down and moving to an advisory role, and he is running the club while they do look for a new GM. So 2-out walk after the Braun home run. It's not rebuilding, though. I think they're calling it a reset.
Reset, okay.
Detroit called it a reboot.
I've heard retooling from some teams.
Right. There's the left fielder Chris Davis, and he takes a slider low.
And I'm not singing any arrows at the Brewers or anybody else in baseball, because I don't know exactly what their philosophy is and how aggressive they're going to be at tearing it down before building it back up. But that was the one thing I really admired about the Cubs, how honest they were with their fans. They look, folks, this could get ugly here for a while. Some, especially on the business side of the operation, some folks are really nervous about words like rebuild.
One and one on Davis. He's got a couple of 2-homer games over his last 7. 12 knocked in. And he could not hold up on the slider. We are in the Budweiser patio in right field. And that is our view tonight.
There we are. We're going to get some action out here tonight.
I have a feeling. Hopefully not until the bottom of an inning, however.
Coughlin's going to hit us one.
Okay. Bounce toward third, picked up by Chris Bryant. Off balance throw. Good stretch by Rizzo, and that will end the inning. Ryan Braun with a home run, and it's Milwaukee 1. The Cubs coming up. The red line stops at Addison. Times in his career, 1-3 against his former team. And here's the Southwest Airlines Cubs batting order. Again, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at Southwest.com. Joe's not making many changes these days. We've seen this lineup here the last several games. Fowler, Schwarber, Coghlan, Rizzo, Bryant, Soler, Montero, Hamill, and Russell.
Check in with the Brewers defensively. Davis, Peterson, Braun, left, center, and right. Hernan Perez, Gene Segura, Scooter Gennett, Adam Lind, third to first, Jonathan Lucroy. He's really good behind the plate, and Matt Garza on the mound for the Brewers. Been a tough go for Garza this year. 6 up, 12 down, an ERA just under 5, but better of late. Really good last time out, and a 2.55 ERA and 4 post All-Star break starts.
What a night. Clear skies everywhere you look. Garza in his 10th major league season. Twins, Rays, Cubs, Rangers, and now in his 2nd year with the Brewers. A bell-tied fastball for a strike to Dexter Fowler.
4-pitch mix for Garza. Fastball, slider, curve, and change.
Sinking action that time. 91 for strike 2. He's been pretty good. He spent some time recently on the disabled list. Right shoulder tendonitis. Just a couple of weeks in July.
Now, one of those 4 starts was 2 starts ago against the Cubs, August 1st in Milwaukee. 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs. Was a losing pitcher. Last time out, he allowed just 2 hits in 7 innings of 1-run ball. That was against the Pods.
Change up in the dirt. Yeah, you could say he made one mistake in that start against the Cubs as he gave up an early 3-run homer to Anthony Rizzo, but he said after the game it was a good pitch. He couldn't believe Rizzo got on top of it and pulled it into the stands and right. We're going to look at it a little later. Dexter Fowler our way, deep right, and Braun makes a catch about 20 feet in front of us. Thought that was the one.
They had the look, didn't it? Pretty good swing on it. Ball is that looks like the wind's blowing in a little bit, as it does almost every night here at Wrigley this year. Kyle Schwarber absolutely crushed the ball to center field last night. That did not get out of here.
Swing and a miss. Pitch was up a little bit. He has scored a run in 8 consecutive games. No hitter was thrown today. Hisashi Iwakuma of the Mariners. 3 walks, but no hits against the Baltimore Orioles. So had some action earlier to talk about a little later. It's a good curve, 1-2. Garza coming back, and he just simply blew that past him at 95 miles an hour. That's the power display by Matt Garza.
Well, one of the advantages we have of being out here in the bleachers, we're not all that far from the Brewer bullpen. When I was watching Garza's warm-up, the ball looked like it was jumping out of his hand pretty good. And well executed there. He went fastballs up, breaking balls down, never threw anything in the happy zone for Schwarber, who on occasion, well, like 99.9% of big league hitters, chase that elevated fastball.
Chris Coghlan, 10th time he's hit third. The Cubs have won all 9 games in which he has batted third to date. Spending a lot of time during batting practice working on the double play turns at second.
Yeah, so whether you're superstitious or not, if you're the manager of the club and you're 9-0, the guy hitting third, you're right. Monkey with it, right? Yeah.
In the air to left. Davis has it. Continue to feature summertime music here on WGN. After one, it's Milwaukee 1 and the Cubs nothing. And 5 in a row, and 11 of 12 as Scooter Gennett will lead off the top of the second. Cubs 11-1 over their last dozen. This is the best 12-game stretch the Cubs have had since a 12-game winning streak in 2001. It's been a while. Outside on Gennett. It's our job, I guess, to analyze, but I think internally, and just talking to some people inside the Cubs clubhouse, these are the kind of stretches you don't want to try to figure out too much, right? Just show up, play.
Yeah.
Left field, Schwarber, and that ball off the wall, and Gennett's got a double. Wish I could tell you what actually happened, but I didn't really see it. I saw it carom.
It's hard to follow it here. He juiced it. He hit it hard, and we're going to look at it here. Gennett showing a little opposite field pop here. Halfway up the wall.
Yeah, he didn't miss a home run by very much. So that is a leadoff double, and it'll bring up Segura.
Well, here's my analysis of this hot streak. One, the starting pitching, especially early on during the streak, was really good. There's a maturity that you've seen from the Cub young hitters of late. And I was talking with John Maley about that this afternoon around the batting cage. We talked a lot about Addison Russell's at-bats in the second half of the year. You're seeing it from Soler now. More patience.
Pulled by Segura. Hamels got to hurry. He got in front of third. Out there, a double play. What a play by Anthony Rizzo. 1-3-5. Gennett Can't believe it.
Scooter scooted a little too far, and you really got to hurry with Segura. He can really fly. No hesitation from Rizzo as Jeanette takes an aggressive turn at third base. Should have burned a timeout. Great play by Rizzo. The Cubs have been aggressive all year long. Joe Madden trusts his guys to make plays. You're afraid of making a mistake, maybe you don't make that throw.
That is a great defensive play. You could just tell Jeanette was shocked he even threw it. Perez pops it up. Rizzo's got it in foul territory, and he's excited as he heads off the field. Jason Hamill loves it, and it's still 1-0 in the second.
If you want to run the city along with Rahm Emanuel, no, just kidding. If you want to manage the game along with Joe Madden, log on to WGNTV.com right now. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to connect to all of the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch from home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer.
Todd Ricketts, the Cubs owners, also hanging out, enjoying the game. And how many times does a guy who made the defensive gem lead off the next inning? Usually 1 out of every 9 or so. All
right, big boy, have a night. Make a play, hit a home run. Give us a little action out here.
Change-up, swing and a miss for strike 1 on Rizzo. Red hot, 12 games. Cubs winning 11 of those 12. He has 19 hits. His on-base average 510. He's slugging .905.
And a lot of damage against this Brewer team. He's hit safely in 10 of the 11 games, compiling a .405 batting average, .881 slugging.
0-2. Breaking ball this time. Long run Perez with the shift on, and he makes a catch.
Kind of digging Perez's socks here.
I like it. Here's Chris Bryant. He's got an 8-game hitting streak. Jorge Soler is hit in 10 in a row, and he's on deck. Fly ball well hit deep to right. Braun is back. It's gone! Just into the front row to tie it at 1.
He likes him some Wrigley Field. My goodness, has he been good here. I say it time and time again, he's at his best when he's looking to shoot the ball the other way.
Number 16 on the year. Well, we had a good angle on it, but I couldn't quite tell. It was hit so high. Braun thought he had a shot at it. So we're tied at 1. Braun is homered for the Brewers. Bryant for the Cubs. One on Soler. Loopy curve. 1-2.
Soler 1 out of 3 last night. Drove in a run, scored a run, was also hit by a pitch. He struck out twice. But both times he was pitched really tough. The first time he was rung up on a fastball that was off the plate and down below the knees, and the next time he was called out on a pitch right over the outside corner.
The ball hit out right in front of us as Braun makes a play. Third time Bryant out of his 16 major league home runs. He's gone to right. And here's Miguel Montero, 8 out of 19 against Garza. Garza in year 2 of a 4-year $50 million contract, so he signed through 2017.
Road has not been kind to Matt Garza. 6.40 ERA away from Miller Park. And I believe with an earlier Montero's got pretty good numbers against him.
He does. Yeah, 8 for 19. So Matt's career, his home ERA, and he's pitched for a bunch of different teams as we referenced earlier, he has a 3.35 ERA. On the road it's 4.50. About a run and a quarter more on the road. Could it be his routine? At least partially explaining it.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I think a lot of players are better in their home ballpark than the road, regardless of whether it's a pitcher-friendly or hitter-friendly ballpark, except for the extremes. Just about everybody who's ever pitched for the Rockies is better on the road than at home. But knowing what we know about Matt, you know, how tied he is to his routine, yeah, that could help explain it.
One thing I noticed being out here, as the Cubs took the field and almost up until the very first pitch of the game, Garza was still taking his warm-up tosses in the visitors' bullpen. He had started to warm up. They had the national anthem. And that happens a lot. Starting pitchers get interrupted by the anthem, which usually takes a couple of minutes at most. But most starting pitchers are done warming up well before that. And I remember a start on the south side, right? He was still pitching in the bullpen
right
after the game had started. But that was after a rain delay, I recall. That one pulled way foul into the upper deck.
Well, the one thing, and we've talked about it a lot this year, when you're on the road, obviously you don't know exactly when you're going to make that first pitch if your team bats for a while. So sometimes guys will take a few extra tosses just to make sure that they're ready to go when their time does come.
Comebacker knocked down by Garza. And the throw is in time. Not a good throw, but it got to its destination just in time. Chris Bryant with an opposite field game, tying a home run. We're 1-1 after 2. Don't forget to check out Len and JD's baseball blog at WGNTV.com. Sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Hanging in the bleachers, we're in right field on the Budweiser patio. A newly renovated patio. It looks great. And Chris Bryant just tied the game with a home run. Jason Hamill will face Garza, Peterson, and Lucroy.
Ooh.
An aggressive hack there by Matt.
Malicious swing. I feel like we should have a drink with an umbrella in it out here on the patio.
Good slider. Garza's always had trouble throwing to bases, and they just got it there in time.
Just a little shot put. So a reminder for the Cub hitters that the bunt against Garza is always in play.
And we'll get some on a ground out to the mound.
So on Wednesday, August 19th, Cubs take on the Detroit Tigers. That's right, the Tigers are here. First pitch is at 7:05. First 10,000 adults 21 and over will receive a Cubs wine tumbler presented by Barefoot Wine. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com.
Peterson caught looking on strikes to start the game. Slider. This is downstairs. Coughlin. 2 down. We'd love to see your selfies. Hashtag WGN Cubs. We use the selfies in our fan cam a little later on.
Oh, years ago, you probably could get arrested for saying something like that to somebody.
That's probably true.
I don't know what my selfies are, mister, but none of your business.
Right. There's Lucroy. Just missed the corner.
It's kind of fun being out here. It reminds me of being a kid going to the ball games. Sit in different parts of the stadium. You get a different perspective.
timed the leap perfectly, and he steals away a hit from Lucroy, who can't find a break. He has lined out 3 times already in the series, and we're still tied at 1. Selfie time. Tomorrow, Cubs will be able to sleep in their own beds this weekend, even though they'll play 3 games on the road on the south side against the White Sox. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Pretty good look for you, JD.
It's a solid look for me.
1-1 tie. Cubs will bat here in the 3rd inning. 8-hitter is the pitcher, as per usual. Jason Hamill already with a career high 9 hits on the season. Cut and a miss. Garza's got good stuff tonight. He usually does, but pretty crisp. We've seen him hit 95. He's thrown some good curveballs.
Yeah, well, you get to this stage of the season, you're having a tough year like he is. There's a sense of urgency. Not that he wasn't trying earlier in the year, but he knows he still has time to put up some numbers and kind of put together a semblance of a strong finish with a little momentum heading into next year.
Segura.
The 90s are coming back for at least one afternoon as the Cubs host 90s Day. It's August 21st versus the Atlanta Braves. Budweiser bleacher fans 21 and older will receive a reissue neon Cubs hat in one of 2 spectacular colors. The game will feature sounds of the decade with popular 90s music playing between innings and much more. For tickets, visit Cubs.com.
Addison Russell going short. One and one on the curve. 1 for 3, hit by a pitch last night. And the Cubs 6-3 win. Into the grass, Segura with a long throw. 2 outs. Toronto blasting Oakland 10-3 as they go to the 5th inning in Toronto. The Jays looking for their 10th win in a row. Started the night a half a game back of the New York Yankees, who are tied at 1 in Cleveland in the 6th. Indians won last night in 16 innings, 5-4, for the first time in Major League history since MLB expanded to 30 teams. All 15 home teams won on the same day. 15-0.
Wow, I did not know that.
Elias reporting the closest we had ever gotten to that situation previously was back in 1914 when the home teams went 12-0 on May the 23rd, but that included 4 games in the Federal League. The collective winning margin last night, home team 80, visitors 32. There were 4 shutouts, and 7 of the 15 trailed at one juncture. You see 4 walk-off wins. I heard on the radio, and I don't gamble, but if you did the $100 parlay and all 15 teams would win, you would have won over $300,000.
So that's a bet you can make. I guess you could just bet on every game,
right?
If you were so inclined. Yeah, because the home field advantage factor in baseball is really not as great as it is in the other sports. In that Yankee-Cleveland game you referenced, the Yankees actually had a 2-run lead in the 10th or 11th. They scored 2. Cleveland tied it. Would you say that ultimately went 16?
16 innings before the Indians won it. Yankees have lost 4 in a row and have scored 5 runs total during the streak. Fowler draws the walk, and that'll keep the inning alive for Schwarber. On Saturday, August 22nd, the Cubs welcome in the Braves at 3:05, and the first 10,000 fans in attendance get a John Lester debut bobblehead presented by Las Vegas. For tickets, visit Cubs.com. So Schwarber beaten on a fastball in his first at bat. Need to, and that will go foul.
Yeah, this is what we were talking earlier about, this hot streak and looking for a why. Well, the maturity of these young hitters. And, you know, Rizzo's just doing his thing. He's done it all year long. The other guys, Soler and Bryant, have been kind of up and down, but definitely up lately. And Schwarber's been good from day one.
One on, 2 down. We're tied here in the 3rd. Nearing dusk here in Chicago. Beautiful night. Very comfortable evening here at the ballpark. We've had a few August nights that haven't been so comfortable with humidity and heat. This is just ideal.
Yeah, the hitters would prefer that it'd be a little warmer and the wind blowing out, but the fans, the patrons, us, couldn't be nicer.
On the outside corner.
Pitchers are digging it.
Fowler runs, swing and a miss, strike 3. So another 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Garza getting Kyle Schwarber. JD picked a few tunes tonight. Little Mungo Jerry. Is that Jerry Seinfeld?
That's Mungo Jerry.
Have a drink.
Hamill against Braun. Last time Jason faced the Brewers in Milwaukee, Braun took him deep, and then the first pitch he saw tonight, he did it again. This time he takes a fastball for strike one. Fourth inning, 1-1. Hamill struck out the first two batters in this ball game. He was nearing 1,000 strikeouts in his career. Currently 997.
Nice milestone. Dan Herron reached one last night with his 150th big league win.
Fair ball. Throw to first. Safe. Rizzo's foot apparently came off the bag. Braun is aboard, likely with a single.
Plenty on the throw, a little bit offline. Rizzo, yeah, off the base.
That might be an error. We'll see. Well, they gave him a hit.
Anthony may have a little issue with the glove. That ball started to pop through the pocket.
And Anthony just got a new glove. So Braun is 2 for 2. Lind walked in the first. Braun 16 out of 18. He was a good base runner.
May be feeling a little frisky. Did not play yesterday. Well, he pinch hit, but he did not start.
10th career start for Hamill against the Milwaukee Brewers. 7 decisions, all wins. He is 9-0 against the Washington Nationals, but his .218, actually .307 against Milwaukee's his ERA. That ball lined left center. Fowler on the move makes the catch. Braun retreats to first.
And then put a real good swing on it. Nice break here by Fowler. Stretches out, hauls it in. Gets a round of applause from his pitcher. This is the Brewers' 4th look at Jason Hamill this year. 2 wins and a no decision against Milwaukee.
Oh, .218, okay. Made a mistake looking at the notes. Yeah, .218, that's the lowest ERA he has against any opponent. And already 2-0 this year. Should have been a lot better at night than during the day overall this season. I don't want to make too much out of it, but 2.28 under the lights, 481 in matinees.
Might have gone out there with a little chip on his shoulder here tonight. He got pulled early from his last start against the Giants. 4+2 hitters, and Joe Madden went and got him after back-to-back walks in the 5th. Cubs had a 5-2 lead at the time. Jason voiced his displeasure after the game. Didn't like the decision, but said, let's move on. Hamill 6'6", has long arms and really uses that to his advantage. He gets really good tilt on his slider. That's the one when you talk to scouts after Jason Hamill's start. Usually they say, man, that slider's really good. And the scouts typically are perched behind home plate when they have a real good look. You can have a little empathy for the hitters who have to deal with these guys.
One and 2 on Chris Davis. We're on the runner at first, 1 away. Here it comes. Fly ball. Shallow center, and it's going to be Russell from the shortstop position to make the catch. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. We're back out here on the Budweiser patio. Right over here, JD.
Well, you want us to look at the camera? I was looking at us on the monitor because I'm fixated. Look, I'm on TV and I can't look away.
It's a little shiny.
Yeah, that's good. Looking a little high gloss here this evening.
There's Scooter Jeanette. Doubled in his first trip, batting 6th in the lineup.
I broke my own tenet of being on camera when you get the shot in the ballpark. You either got to stick out your tongue, give the thumbs up, or the peace sign.
Right.
Or some combination.
Braun started the inning with an infield hit. He's still at first with 2 outs. Cutting action on that fastball. Strike one. Tyler Cravey, a right-hander the Cubs have not yet seen, will pitch tomorrow against John Lester, who will try to get his record back to the 500 mark. He'll go in at 7-8 with a 3.22. Cravey 0-3 with a 5.40. Looking for the put-away pitch. Been efficient tonight. 45 pitches here in the fourth. Knocked down by Montero.
Well, if ever there's a time to gamble with the ball in the dirt, that would be it. 2-strike count on the hitter with 2 outs.
Jordan Zimmerman, Clayton Kershaw slated to match up at Dodger Stadium. Nationals and the Dodgers. Big night for Yasiel Puig last night in a 5-0 Dodger win as they snapped a 4-game skid. He knocked in all 5 runs, tripled and homered. 2-2. How did it not hit him? Jeanette wondering the same thing. Quick feet. You know what? He's a good scooter.
Good scooter. A little slider spin. Kicked it back the other way just a little bit.
Rizzo playing behind the runner Braun, who will go here with 2 outs on a 3-2 to Jeanette. Strike 3 on a slider to end the inning. Weezer will take us to break. It's 1-1.
Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC.
1-1 tie. Braun homered in the first. Bryant in the second. Hanging in the bleachers tonight. Chris Coughlin to lead it off. Foul past first. Well, the Astros helped out the Cubs and the Dodgers today by shutting out the Giants in San Francisco 2-0. They get a split in that 2-game series. They've got the disco ball and the fog machine. Did you know that?
No, I knew they were celebrating post game, when they have a win. I didn't know exactly in what fashion.
Ended a 4-game losing streak, and former Cub Scott Feldman got the win to go to 5-5. His first win since May the 26th.
Astros have been really something at home. They've haven't played particularly well on the road, so that's a big win for them. The Pirates-Cardinal game tonight, a couple of aces, Cole and Waka pitching in that one.
Davison left. Get a behind-the-scenes look at beautiful Wrigley Field. The Cubs offer 90-minute guided tours that include a chance to step on the field. This must-see Chicago attraction houses over 100 years of history. For more information, visit Cubs.com/tours. Nori Aoki was in the Giants lineup today. Remember, he had to leave early on Sunday. I guess there was some dizziness afterward. They're going to reevaluate him tomorrow. Swinging strike on Rizzo.
And yeah, he starts Rizzo here with a changeup. That's how he started him in his first at bat.
Similar pitch to the one he hit out in Milwaukee. As this time he fouls out to third. Time now for a Southwest Airlines. How far did it fly? Chris Bryant with the game-tying home run. Oh, about 15 feet to the right of us. To our right, I should say. 391 feet. Are we sure it went 391? Well, whatever. It went far enough.
Not far enough for Corey. There's a kid over there, Corey, celebrating his 21st birthday. Maybe he'll get a shot.
Low strike. Michael Flores and friends are here at the ballpark tonight. And he's headed off to Millikan University in Decatur, Illinois. He's going to play soccer there. He's going to be a freshman, so this is kind of the last hurrah for a new journey.
Cubs have been able to dispatch starters early here during this latest run. Garza pretty efficient so far tonight, though. Looks like he's going to stick around a while.
Swung on and missed. Strike three. As we mentioned, he's been good tonight. So is Hamill. 1-1 after 4. By Fifth Third Bank, the Curious Bank. Hamill to Segura, slider strike. Cubs held to one hit. That was the Bryant home run.
Cubs had 7 hits in the ball game last night, but they had all kinds of traffic. There was walked 7, hit 3, committed 3 errors.
Rizzo makes the catch. He was playing way off the line in the shift.
Nothing like a little good fortune, too. Coghlan made a heck of a play on a line drive. Fowler ran one down in the gap. Solid contact here, but Rizzo, Johnny on the spot. Flashing a little leather.
And that's where the advanced scouts do a high five. And I think we've seen first basemen in general. Albert Pujols, certainly one of those guys, especially against right-handed hitters. There's no reason to play anywhere close to the line against most guys. And Rizzo, I think, does a good job of playing well off the line and still has time to get back to the bag on a ground ball. The 0-1 to Perez, bounced foul.
Yeah, that's where it's nice to have an athletic first baseman, a guy you can cheat a couple extra steps to the right. I know he can scramble over and cover the bag on a ground ball to the other side.
The 0-2 on the former Tigers, swing and a miss. History made today in Seattle. Speed replay brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Hisashi Iwakuma, nice play over there by Kyle Seager. Iwakuma no hitting the Baltimore Orioles. That is the 3rd Mariners no-no since 2012. The 5th in their franchise's history as Garza breaks his bat on a foul. Chris Bosio has one of those 5 no-hitters. And it's interesting, the previous 12 no-hitters prior to Iwakuma were thrown by National League pitchers. Previous American League no-no was Felix Hernandez's perfect game.
And so the last 3 no-hitters in the American League were by the Mariners. Combined no-hitter that Kevin Millwood started. King Felix and now Iwakuma.
The 0-1 is chopped towards second. Russell, the shortstop, he's got time, and Hamill goes 1-2-3 for the 3rd time in the first 5.
Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you.
Stay tuned for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser. Still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you, members of the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. And that's the real reason we're out in the Budweiser patio tonight, because 35 guys are going to sing the stretch from the booth. Now, I don't think all of them will sing. Some of them will. Great to have them at the ballpark tonight.
If you're a Blue Angel, do you get nervous before you sing in front of a big crowd? And do you ever get nervous if you're a Blue Angel?
That's a great question.
When do they start practicing for the air show? These are buzzing around tomorrow, maybe?
I think by
Certainly
Thursday
Friday.
we should see some action.
Yeah. So I mentioned last time Soler was up about him being rung up twice last night on one a bad call and one just a really nasty pitcher's pitch down and away. And I was talking with John Maley about it this afternoon, and he said, you know, when Soler came back to the dugout after the first one, I congratulated him. I said that was a great punch out. And you know, most people said, "What, are you nuts?" And Maley said, "I don't want him swinging at that pitch. I want you swinging at pitches that you can slug."
Yep. I love that a hitting coach said that.
Yeah.
I've said that before, and I get criticized on Twitter. You know, strikeouts are good. No, I'm not saying strikeouts are good, but yeah, I mean there are times when you're going to take a pitch that's not a strike, but an umpire will call it that way. And his eye at the plate matters.
I know in Houston a couple of years back, they were doing stuff in spring training where they were kind of simulating 3-2 and just teaching guys or asking guys to take that borderline pitch, because the likelihood that you do damage is very low, but there's a real good chance it's going to be called ball 4. And even if you don't get into that full count situation, if you lay off that borderline pitch, say 1-2, 2-2, you live to fight another day if you're not rung up, and maybe you do get a mistake out over the plate. And I think it changes depending on the game situation, style of hitter. And if you're a singles hitter who sprays the ball around, maybe you're going to be a little more aggressive.
2-2 on a good curve.
And the other Soler piece that I had for John is, okay, so he looks like he's on that fastball now, starting to hit line drives with some degree of regularity. So now, what about you try to teach him to lift, hit the ball out of the ballpark? And John said, well, that's the next part.
Ground ball, diving stop. Perez at third, throw to first, in time to get him. Nicely done.
Got good looking socks, and he can play a little bit. Sharply hit by Soler. Could have been a knock. Instead, we'll have to trudge on back to the dugout. 0 for 2.
Montero recently down to Double-A Tennessee for a rehab assignment. Albert Almora with the Smokies. He's got an 8-game hitting streak. He's 17 out of 32. That's a .531 average. Starting to take more walks. Very positive development.
Good news, isn't it?
One of the Cubs' top prospects. Still only 21. Listella was down there on his rehab assignment. He was activated yesterday off the 60-day DL and sent to AAA Iowa. He just needs to play, get some at bats. I would imagine we'll see Tommy on September 1st. 3-0. Hamill on deck. Cubs have taken 7 of the first 11 in the season series, including the last 5 in a row. You walked him, and let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. back here at Wrigley Field. Len and JD and our WGN Sports crew from the Budweiser patio and right. Beautiful night. Tie ball game. Starting pitchers have been the main story here. Hamlin a bunting spot. Squares early. And it's foul.
We've talked a lot this year about Joe Maddon and his philosophy with the bunt. It's a play he doesn't like. It's a defensive play for him. He does it when he's worried about hitting into a double play. The fact that Addison Russell has turned his game around certainly influences the decision now with Russell hitting in the 9-hole. The fact that Garza is pitching, I think, makes it a better bunting situation. Chance that if he fields it, he might airmail it. Does everything well behind the plate. Throws well. Recognized as one of the better pitch framers in the game.
One and two. That's the green light to swing. And down in the count.
Well, that's the other part of it, too. Just because you bunt as opposed to swing doesn't mean that the double play is necessarily out of order. You got a slow guy on base at first. A poor bunt out in front of home plate could turn into a double play.
Garza will field. An underhand to Jeanette covering first.
At the end of the day, Jason Hamill able to get the bunt down. Not the best bunt in the world. Good read there by Montero. The risk of being doubled off on a ball popped up like that.
White Sox going for a sweep tonight, hosting the Angels. 9 miles to the south of us. They're in the 5th. Angels leading 1-0 in that one.
Different hitter since the All-Star break. Joe Maddon put him in the 9-hole to protect him. Now he's kind of ambushing people from that 9 spot in the batting order.
Foul ground. Jeanette got a glove on it. Could not haul it in behind Lynn.
Well, that's a real tough play for the first baseman. Jeanette had a pretty good angle on it. In and out of the glove. Russell stays alive. Chance to drive in a go-ahead run here.
Two strikes, but new life for Russell. Ground ball and through. Montero will score. So the Cubs take advantage and they lead it for the first time tonight, 2-1.
That's some good hardball right there. Montero works the walk. Hamill gets him over. Russell gets him in. Breaking ball down a little bit, but certainly get toable for Patty Russell.
was no error, by the way, on that foul ball that was not caught. It's just considered a no play. And the Cubs now lead 2-1. Fowler, the hitter, is flied out and walked. Garza's missed on a couple of close ones. Thought he had both. 2-0.
I think Jonesy just flashed the double in the corner sign.
He tried. Final strike, 2-1. Pitch pulled down the right field line. Braun will pick it up. Fowler's going to hold with a single. Russell to third. Almost. Got the single in the corner. You wanted him to go, didn't you?
Yeah, I was
selfish.
I was thinking of myself there. I got in on him a little bit, didn't quite barrel it up, so might have enough steam to get it all the way into the corner, but a good swing of the bat for Fowler. And big chance here for Schwarber. Trying to settle himself out there. When you're having a good year, you get out of this jam. When you're having a bad year, things tend to blow up on you.
Over to second. Jeanette makes a play. Summer's not complete without some Sly and the Family Stone. Addison Russell makes it 2-1 Cubs. Now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple Six menu from Subway. Subway, eat fresh. Message and data rates may apply. Jason Hamill working with a lead for the first time in this ball game, and he helped give the Cubs the lead by getting down a bunt with 2 strikes in the 5th. So facing the top of the order, 3rd time through now, 1-0. And Shane Peterson, who's 0 for 2. Lucroy and Braun to follow. Those sliders outside, 2-0. Mets with a late lead, 3-0 over the Rockies. They play the bottom of the 8th in New York.
Jacob deGrom, starting pitcher for the Mets tonight. They got 8 shutout from Matt Harvey last night. Clayton Richard is warming in the Cubs bullpen.
Mets with a 2.5 game lead in the East over the Nationals. Strike called, 2-2. He got him. Good comeback by Hamill. Make sure that baseball ends up in the dugout. I think they should ask for it. That's his 1,000th career strikeout.
Boy, good tilt on that slider. There it goes. One for the mantle.
He probably doesn't even know it. So why were they throwing that ball out? I just got a strikeout.
You know, and he just looked around the big board and he saw it and he kind of, oh, okay. Pursed his lips. Oh, okay, I get it. Now the fans rising to applaud Hamill. Good stuff.
Ball 1 to Lucroy. Going through an 0-for here. 0 for his last 17, but hit the ball hard a few times for outs in this series. Sometimes bad streaks include bad luck.
Yeah.
Will snap the 0-for. 1 out single for Lucroy.
Sunday, August 23rd, the Cubs play the Braves. First pitch at 1:20 for his 5,000 kids. Receive a Cubs toy airplane presented by American Airlines. After the game, the first 1,000 kids 13 and younger with wristbands will be allowed on the field to run the bases, weather permitting. For more information, visit Cubs.com. You an airplane guy? It's like did you do models when you were a kid? Did you?
Sure. Yeah, when I was about 6. Yep.
But not older? Not. Some people get real intricate into building.
Yeah, no, I didn't really get that deep into it. You?
I didn't have any skills.
Montero kept that ball right at his feet. And Lucroy didn't have a chance to really think about advancing.
I like buying them. I just didn't really like putting them together. You got a little lucky there. Popped up instead of staying down, but ball hit him. And no advance for Lucroy.
Gibson and Montero having a little conversation. 1-0 on Braun. Slider was up, but it was a little bit off the outside. And a foul tip to make it 1-1.
Yeah, that one more cutter than slider. Didn't have the tilt on, but just a little late break away from the sweet spot.
Much room over there as Rizzo gets on the tarp. He makes the catch.
Yeah, he's being called no catch, but wow, come on. Extra points for creativity.
No catch. But that was a thing of beauty.
Let's see. On the tarp. Leaning, top of the wall.
I have to get out the rule book.
Yeah.
So I assume you can't stand
I've never seen this.
Joe going out and asking the home plate umpire about it. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. Talk about concentration.
Whether it's a catch or not, you're going to see that replay from years to come.
It's just incredible.
It's funny, he did make a similar play in Arizona last year where he fell into the camera well, and if that had been called a catch, Lucroy would be allowed to advance to second because he fell out of play. But Joe getting the explanation from Mark Carlson, the crew chief, and now they're all going to get together.
Yeah, I've never seen this. I'm not sure exactly what the ground rule is here. I mean, he had not, unless they consider the top of the wall outside of the field of play, but he was on the wall when he caught the ball, then fell into the stands. Well, seems like it would be the same as if you dove from the field, caught the ball, and landed in the stands.
Because of that, I don't think the falling into the stands is the issue, because that happens a lot. So it's got to be climbing on either the tarp or the ledge.
And so it might be akin to stepping into the dugout to make a catch, as opposed to falling into the dugout to make a catch.
Didn't Nolan Arenado end up on the tarp? That great catch he made in San Francisco. I don't think he stepped on it. I think he kind of ended up diving over the top.
Himself off of it. Yeah.
Ended up in the stands.
So I guess my question is, if once Anthony put his foot on the top of the wall, did he establish himself as out of play? I mean, that's clearly what they ruled. I just don't know if that's the right ruling or not.
Oh, they gave it to him.
And then they're going to give Lucroy second base.
And Lucroy will get second. Yep, that's the right decision. And now Craig Counsell wants an explanation. How about that?
There's a Rizzo fan right there enjoying the moment. Check out her reaction.
Maybe they thought the fan with the Rizzo jersey caught it.
Boom. Through the rafters, off the backboard, nothing but net.
Yeah, so Carlson was pointing. And so maybe his original call was what you said, that he was basically standing out of play. But in the end, it's an out. Crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How about his night? How about his night defensively? The throw to third base to get Jeanette, and the line drive was fairly routine, but still a nice play. And then this spectacular work here. Willing to give up the body.
And here comes Joe now, out to the mound. That's going to be it for Jason Hamill.
Jason Hamill, just 65 pitches. Again, not happy leaving this game, and I'm sure the conversation will continue between Joe and Jason. And Joe's just going to make the point, hey, man, I'm just doing what I think I need to do to win a ball game.
We'll be back 2-1 in the 6th.
out of that last game. I know that, and I love that he didn't like it. And I think he's going to go out there a little bit of an edge tonight, and really, like I said, eager to watch him play.
Well, Jason Hamill very good tonight, but again taken out fairly early. It's a 2-1 ball game, and you'd have to think if it's 6-1.
Oh yeah,
he's still in there.
No doubt, no doubt. And this is all about the situation. Left-handed hitting Adam Lynn coming up. He hit a bullet off Jason last time. So Joe, I think he had a couple of, well, 3 options. Just let Jason pitch to him, put him on, or make the pitching change. And if you put him on, you put the go-ahead run on base. So, it's never a real good option.
The 0-1 to Lind. That ball hit out into deep left center. Fowler in front of the 368 makes the catch to end the inning. Anthony Rizzo. You're going to see this again a lot of times, and you're going to want to see it again. 2-1.
The summer wind came blowing in.
Having fun out here in the bleachers tonight. Budweiser patio, our broadcast position. Cubs with a 2-1 lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. Anthony Rizzo has had quite a night on defense. One of the best plays we've seen in a while. On the tarp, on the ledge, into the stands to make a catch and retire Ryan Braun. Hi there. Going to stick out your tongue or do something? It's too late. Chris Coughlin fouls out of play. And again, when you do make a catch and you fall out of play, any base runner is allowed to advance 1. So that is the kind of play you would never want to make in Game 7 of the World Series, tied at 1-1 in the bottom of the 9th with a runner at 3rd. Because yes, a game could end in that fashion.
Could you imagine the World Series ending like that?
How about any game ending that way? Just the creativity to do what he did.
Yeah, and you know, he's probably been thinking about it. You know, you play here every day, all your home games. I thought, if I ever get a chance, I know exactly what I'm going to do over there. I mean, there's obviously a lot of risk involved. Up on the tarp, then on top of the wall and into the stands.
Deep left. Davis on the track. Packer-sponsored element the rest of the night is going to be this. This is our Mazda replay cam. Mazda, conviction, creativity, courage. It's the Mazda way, and it's the Rizzo way.
Creativity and courage for sure with that play. Did he step on the back of a chair at the end of this play? As he plants there, if he's on somebody's seat or the back of the seat.
It's like that great hustle play to keep a ball alive in an NBA game where the guy goes flying into the stands and they're all patting him on the back.
Really, the one thing our replay didn't catch is he had a hot dog in his back pocket when he came out of there. He usually comes out with a handful of popcorn or something.
And so just watch this time. Just watch the fans. Don't even watch Anthony. It's the fans in the area.
Yeah, he did stand on the back of the chair.
Good.
Spider-Man.
Boy, if Moises just could have scaled the wall and stood on the ledge.
Well, like that highlight we've seen
12 feet tall over there.
The outfielder in Japan who climbed up on top of the wall to rob the home run.
Yeah. Three and one. You I don't know if you promised one, but you hope to get a shot at a home run ball. It seems to be Anthony Rizzo's night.
I called Coughlin early, but he's been going the other way. Oh, got a 3-1 pitch coming. Change up.
3-2.
Game plan for Garza against Anthony so far tonight has been change up and high fastballs.
Lynn might have been wondering, am I going to have to do that? Swing and a miss on a curveball. Bryant homered earlier. Tied the game in the second.
Tougher to command that changeup to the glove side, trying to go down and away from the right-handed hitter. Better off spiking it the way Garza did than having it float over the heart of the plate.
Backhanded play. Perez the third. And the inning is over. Cubs lead 2-1 as we go to the seventh. field, winning it all. WGN Cubs fan cam tonight. Clayton Richard against Chris Davis. Strike called. The final out. Line shot to deep center off the bat of Lynn in the 6th.
Richard effective when making spot starts for the Cubs. And on his game, he's an extreme ground ball pitcher. A scary situation here with Davis, who's been hot, has legitimate power. Try to keep that sinker down around the knees.
The call, 1-2.
In his last start, 94, maybe even 95 on the radar gun a couple of times.
They struck him out. The 95 on that fastball.
And that's what Joe was thinking with Richard being moved to the bullpen, that you'd see a little more velocity. That's been the case with Travis Wood when he moved from the rotation to the pen. Become more fastball centric, air it out, realizing you're not going to have to go through a lineup a couple of times.
Topper by Jeanette. Richard will take it to the bag as both he and Rizzo went after the ball. 2 down. Tommy Hunter is up. Comes Gene Segura.
Well, if Richard had let that one go, Rizzo probably would have caught it and flipped it between his legs to him.
Coughlin, easy play. Time now for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser. Here come the Blue Angels from the U.S. Navy.
Take me out to the ball game. All right, Cubs fans, let me hear ya. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back, so let's root for the Cubbies. Yeah, and it's a shame. It's 1, 2, 3 strikes are out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs.
Don Henley. Playlist tonight. Producer Mark Brady getting a little help. Is this one of yours, Tim?
No, but I like this one. I fully endorse this one.
Bottom of the 7th. Cubs lead 2-1. Curve from Garza. He's been good tonight, but he's trailing.
The curveball has been a real good weapon for him. He's been able to drop it in there for strike one frequently. Garza doing something that hasn't been done in a while. Starting pitcher going into the 7th against the Cubs.
Yeah, so we may have to come up with a different stat in the non-Matt Garza category. ... The Cubs keep knocking opposing starters out early.
He went 6 last time against the Cubs, the last guy to do that, and through 6 so far here tonight.
Pitcher strike. 1 and 2.
And that's the one that John Maley will tell Soler, don't worry about it. Easier said from the dugout when you got a young guy who's looking to do some damage. He wants him hunting fastballs, and he wants him hunting the ball up above the knees.
That's just a great pitch by Garza for strike 3.
Cub fans, let's go. Don't miss your chance to catch the best matchups in baseball. Reserve your place in line for history in the making. Join the season ticket holder waiting list. It's easy, free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list.
We'll have Walk Up Wednesday next week in terms of our music selection. So the playlist will consist of Cubs players' walk-up tunes. Some guys have more than one. Jeremy Jeffress, a right-hander, is up in the Brewers bullpen.
I'm anxious to hear that because we play in the ballpark all the time, but we usually don't hear it. It's hard to tell what's going on.
Because we're locked in.
Yeah. I know Anthony, every now and then you hear a little T-Swift. I know that's part of his playlist.
Starlin Castro is on deck. So Russell Martin, I've seen him fly into dugouts trying to catch foul balls. How about this one yesterday? He didn't make the catch, but man, oh man.
Yeah, great effort. He didn't have to. That's the irony, right? The ball could bounce behind him.
In the air, right field. Noonan, drop it. Braun makes a catch. 2 down. And last night, Starlin Castro, for the first time in his major league career, playing a position other than shortstop. He came in late, played second, and made this great catch in the right field bullpen.
They almost got a face full of bench there. Just a heck of a play.
So getting used to playing another position here and another role, which may be more difficult than the position change, and that is going from essentially an everyday player his entire major league career to a part-timer. It's not easy. And the swings and sends a high fly ball out into left center. Peterson makes a catch, and that will end the inning. 2-1 Cubs. Ryan Braun with his 250th career home run. That gave Milwaukee an early lead, but the Cubs tied it on the Bryant home run, took the lead on the Russell RBI single, and 2 plus defensive plays by Anthony Rizzo helping out Jason Hamill tonight. Clayton Richard with an inning and a third. Perfect innings, and now Pedro Strop here in the 8th. Honda Dream Garage sales event now at your Honda dealer as Castro will take over for Coughlin at second.
Well, good work by Clayton Richard as he bridges the starter Hamill to the 8th inning. Pedro Strop. Strop on for the 56th time, and he's pitched to a 2.66 ERA. Scoreless 8th last night with a couple of punch-outs.
Elian Herrera is going to hit for Hernan Perez. We'll get another pinch hitter next for Garza as well. Oh, 2.
It's been a pitcher's night, pitching and defense. The story here this evening. 7 hits total in the ball game. 4 for the Brewers, 3 for the Cubs.
One-two pitch. And he looked at a slider low. And he struck him out on a slider. One away.
Options for how to get to Wrigley Field. The Cubs suggest the use of public transportation. The red line right there. That's always a good option if you ride your bike. Cubs have a courtesy bike check, and if you drive your car, the Cubs provide free parking and shuttle service on night and weekend games, and that is of course located at 3900 North Rockwell. Details can be found at Cubs.com.
This is Logan Schaefer.
Every now and then, Schaefer tries to drop down a bunt for a base hit. be inclined to think bunt after that hack. Appear to see that one very well at all.
Jeffress will get the bottom of the 8th. Matt Garza with a quality outing tonight. 7 innings, only 3 hits and 2 runs. He would be on the hook for the loss.
Yeah, tough loss, but from his point of view, he seems to have turned a corner. He's been really good since the break.
Without looking start to start, that might be the best he's pitched against the Cubs since they traded him to Texas a few years ago. Came back up and hit Schaefer. And it's a foul ball. Our summer intern Kyle Leone here, WGN. And back to Newman University. I want to thank Kyle for all his work here this summer.
Newman.
Goodbye, Newman.
They don't serve broccoli in the cafeteria at Newman. Brady says get down to the field to get a post-game interview.
2-2. Swing and a miss on a slider. Back-to-back Ks. It'll be Peterson with 2 outs. Sometimes it backs up a little bit. Looks like a changeup or a split, but man, that's the slider from Strope.
We talk a lot about angles and tilt, and sometimes the slider does almost like a splitter, kind of straight down action.
A lot of tweets about the rule of, a guy makes a catch, falls out of play. One rifled out in the alley and cut off by Schwarber. 2-out single by Peterson. That rule's been in place forever, as far as I know. Make a catch, fall out of play, runners advance. And some people wondering why that rule exists. Well, if I made a catch in foul territory and I just decided I'm just going to fall into the stands for fun, for a dead ball or whatever. Well, no, you can't do that. That's the reason. So there's kind of a disincentive, I suppose, in some sense, for a fielder to make that play. He's got to take that risk. So I actually like the rule.
Yeah, because you can't penalize. You can't rule dead ball, no advance. You can't penalize a base runner who might have had the option to advance otherwise.
To tag, yep. In the dirt, and that could be significant. Literally booted by Montero. He was going to pick it up, and then he inadvertently kicked it. And that allows Peterson to get to second base. So that will go down, I believe, as a wild pitch, but he had it, and then he didn't.
Troy with a base hit last time and a sharp line out the previous time. He's been in a pretty good funk here, but he's been swinging it pretty well the last couple of days.
Yeah, big call there. Instead of 2-0, it's 1-1 on a borderline slider. That one off.
One of Strope's favorite weapons, of course, that quick pitch delivery. Can't use it with a man on base.
Marlins getting on their feet. Stropes 1-2. A chopper to short. Russell will field. Throw to first. Inning over. Let's go back to the 80s again with the Motels. 2-1 Cubs late. Wrigley Field, big crowd tonight. Cubs leading 2-1 as they look for their 6th consecutive win. Try to add some insurance here in the bottom of the 8th. And Herrera, who pinch hit for Perez, will stay in and play 3rd. What are we listening to? I can't really hear it.
It's Summertime is Here by Wins Above Replacement.
Oh, I like it. Jeremy Jeffress.
Jeffress, he can light up the radar gun, mid-90s heater. Ooh, good breaking ball. You're looking for 95 and you get snapdragon hook like that. That's not easy. Strike one breaking ball. That was a big weapon for Garza here tonight.
1-1. Russell with the go-ahead RBI single in the 5th inning. Only run that has scored tonight, not via the home run.
Rondon getting ready in the Cubs pen. Ryan Braun will lead off the 9th. Insurance would be a good idea.
MLB.TV Premium is #1 for streaming live sports. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Swing and a miss. It is a very tough pitch to hit. For a lot of batters, a tough one to lay off.
Yeah, and especially when it's riding in on you, you see it a little bit better, but you've got to be awfully quick to just foul that one off.
Well, finals from the American League. The Blue Jays beat the A's 10-3, and the Yankees lost at Cleveland 2-1. Well, the Yankees offense Remember that series they had in Texas recently? They're scoring runs left and right. They have gone into the freezer, and they've dropped 5 in a row. And the Blue Jays are in first.
Surging Jays, man, and baseball fever alive and well north of the border. People in Toronto are all over that Jays club.
Gets back to the bag. So Jeffress got over there, but could not catch the throw. Errant. Should be an error on, I imagine, Jeanette.
Lind tight to the line here, so he's got a long way to go. Decides to let it go, and Jeanette was a little better angle.
Yep.
And an accurate throw would have gotten the job done.
So E4. The Brewers have made the most errors in the National League. That's 4 in this series and 86 now on the year. Committed 3 last night. Will Smith will be summoned with all the lefties here coming up, and we'll be back 2-1 Cubs. One out. The error has been changed. Given to Jeffress.
Sure. Yeah, that's a tough play. I would put the burden of responsibility on the infielder there, but it may just be my inherent prejudice. Smith tough on lefties, tough on everybody. Big strikeout numbers.
By the way, the single stroke gave up to Peterson. That was the first hit he has allowed since July 21st. And he got the first 2 guys out, so he went 10 innings without allowing a hit. Breaking ball strike on Schwarber.
Quiet night for Schwarber so far. A couple of strikeouts and a ground out to second base. I would imagine teams spend a little more time going over Kyle Schwarber and their pregame meetings than they did when he first came up. And he's gotten everybody's attention.
Actually 10 1/3. 10 1/3 hitless innings before a single by Peterson in the 8th. Pretty good stuff. That's why Stroup's been facing the toughest hitters in the other team's lineup. Back out of play.
Stroup's had a couple of bumps along the way this year, but for the most part it's been really good. And he seems to be the kind of guy that is able to shake that off when he has the bad outing or two. Doesn't seem to beat him up mentally like it might some others.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. And I want to thank @Jammy V, who tweeted that note about Pedro Strop and how dominant he had been here as of late. Schwarber striking out 3 times on fastballs tonight, and all of them up. So 2 down. It's Chris Denorfia off the bench. Pitcher spot. Cardinals lead the Pirates 4-2 in the 7th in St. Louis. Cubs could get to within a game and a half of the wild card leading Pirates. Take a 4.5 game lead for the 2nd spot over the Giants.
Cub fans finding themselves in an odd position of rooting for the Cardinals. St. Louis 41-16 at home.
Wow. Cubs have the 4th best record in the majors. 3 of the top 4 are in the same division. Very tough NL Central. Cardinals, Royals, Pirates, Cubs, Dodgers.
Yeah, this latest surge now 15 games above 500. Seemed like for the longest time the Cubs 6, 7, 8 games above. For the longest time 9 was a high water mark, and they just blown past that. But despite all that winning, have not been able to gain a whole lot of ground on the Cardinals.
Smith's 1-2. Denorfia could not hold, and that's the inning. So we will go to the 9th. Hector Rondon coming in. Some more wins above replacement. 2-1 Cubs. 2-1. The Cubs have the lead. Out here in the Budweiser patio tonight. And we've had a great time. Chris Tenorfia stays in and plays left. Off camera, JD.
I'm trying. I think if I keep waving, I'm going to get a shot of me.
Pitch on Ryan Braun is inside for a ball. Yes. Yeah, got to do the Ringo.
Yeah.
Peace and love, peace and love.
Well, when last we saw Hector, he was loading the bases and then striking out the side. That was Sunday.
Strike call, 1-1.
Just as the inning was about to start, I could feel a little breeze in our faces for the first time all night. I mean, not a whole lot going on.
The flags are not moving, but we can definitely feel the wind blowing the other direction. Lined, and it'll drop right center. Base hit to lead off the inning. So Braun with his third hit.
Even though that ball moving down and in, able to pull the hands in and deliver that base hit the other way.
Again, have to keep a little bit of an eye on Braun. Lynn chops one, and it's foul. It's fair for just a moment and kicked into foul ground. We don't know the final score tonight, but if it is a one-run decision, the Cubs have already played 42 such games this season. They're 25-17. Braun tied for the Brewers team lead with Gene Segura. They have 16 stolen bases apiece. One ground ball. Russell the flip. Safe. Everybody safe. He tried the backhand flip to Castro. Could not get it to him, and the Brewers have it cooking here in the ninth. 2 on, nobody out. Did he have time to make a better throw?
He had so
Hard
much
to tell.
speed carrying him in one direction. Would have taken him some time to set his feet and get into a good position going the other way. It's an awkward play for Castro too, working back across.
So fielder's choice for Lynn, E4. E4?
No, I can't be E4.
That's got to be E6. Well, I think, yeah, I think they assumed Russell's playing second.
Yeah,
that's why they said E4, but it is E6.
And I don't know that. Well, that's a tough error. You know, at the end of the day, there was a play to be made at first base.
Well, I think he was trying to get two. I still think he was trying to. He was thinking double play, didn't it look like? The way he.
I don't know. I think there was just a sense of urgency because he was kind of losing his angle.
Pitch to Davis, and it gets away, and everybody moves up.
This is looking somewhat familiar, isn't it?
Yeah, Rondon loaded the bases with nobody out on Sunday against the Giants. And then he struck out 3 in a row to get out of it. And Davis actually went after that one, didn't he? Did they call it ball 2? Maybe he held. At any rate, tying run is now at third. Go ahead run at second. And it is 1-1 on the swing. Now back.
Davis not one to cut down on his swing. He will take his walks. But usually when he decides to swing, he really lets it fly. punch out here obviously would be huge. Montero's got to make sure he knocks that ball down. A slider in the dirt could be a chase pitch.
A 1-2. 97. Davis got a piece.
Yeah, I think if you're going to go up, you got to go higher than high on this guy.
He struck him out. The slider, which was the big pitch on Sunday.
Yep, well, he had that previous fastball, couldn't get to it, comes back with the slider, and he's in swing mode. Rondon trying to pull another rabbit out of his hat here tonight.
Scooter Gennett. Doubled, struck out looking, bounced to the pitcher. Second and third, one out.
Ground ball to the middle of the diamond, gets the tying run home. Cubs obviously can't afford to let the go-ahead run score, so they keep the infielders back in the middle.
Swing and a miss, 98, with a little tailing action at the end. 0-2.
It was a very tentative swing by Scooter Gennett.
And it looked like he swung at the first pitch. So let's see what Hector has up his sleeve here. It'd be tough to get a guy to swing at that one. Well, we called him Hector Houdini the other day. Maybe we're seeing another late night performance tonight. Watch me get to the precipice.
He's a ratings builder.
Swing and a miss, strike three. One out away.
Back to the slide ball, and again perfectly placed. I don't know if it's a whole lot easier. It may be a little bit easier here tonight, having gone through it on Sunday.
Gene Segura. Slider off the plate, ball one. Stay tuned. The WGN News coming up right after the ball game. The 1-0. 1-1. Single, error, wild pitch, second and third, no outs. Before Rondon struck out Davis, then Gennett, both on sliders. 1-1 to Segura. Fans on their feet. I don't think he's going to throw Segura a strike. He's got a base open, and I think he's just trying to prey on that runners in scoring position anxiety.
Yeah, and Segura likes to swing the bat. He's got a very low walk rate.
Switch hitting Elian Herrera is on deck. The pitch. 2-2.
He is locked in with the release point on that slider. He's throwing one very good one after another. He's not getting chases on all of them. But these guys have to respect that 97-mile-an-hour heater, and they see that ball in his hand. They get it started, and then it just disappears. This place is ready to explode.
The 2-2 offering gets away, and the Brewers have tied it on a wild pitch. So that's the peril with that slider, as nasty as it is. And I don't know if Montero could have done anything to stop that pitch.
Yeah, there's a couple balls tonight. I thought Miggy should have been able to keep in front. This is a tough one here. This is a power slider, down and away. I'm just not able to get out there quickly enough to square up behind it.
It was oh so close. Now the Chargers to get out of the inning without the go-ahead run scoring. That's Lind at third. Swing and a miss. Strike 3 on the slider. So he does strike out the final 3, but a couple of wild pitches, and we're tied at 2. Anthony Rizzo will lead off the bottom of the ninth. His glove work, his smarts on defense on display tonight. A 1-3-5 double play, and then the catch of the year into the stands.
All he
And
needs
on
to
a
do
wire.
is hit a walk-off home run.
Smith to Rizzo, and a swing and a miss on a breaking ball.
They don't ask for much.
Brewers tied it. A wild pitch. Unearned run because of an error earlier in the inning.
Yeah, a blown save for Hector Rondon, but when you reconstruct that inning and you think about it pitch by pitch, you know, Braun hit a pitch that was off the plate, in. Lind hit a ground ball and went for an error. It's not like he made a lot of bad pitches. He's staying out of the zone on Segura. Just happened to get away on Montero, but it happens. Tough break for Jason Hamill. He was in position to pick up the W. He'll have to settle for a no decision.
2 balls and a strike. The kick and the pitch. Slider. Low again. 3-1. Rizzo has been deadly against lefties.
Lean out and hook this slider. Hit it to just about 10 feet to the left of the len here. And we'll pack up and head home.
.465 on base percentage against lefties. He was trying to break one of our monitors here in the patio on that swing.
And Smith actually overthrew that slider and it backed up a little bit on him, but it ended up in a pretty good place. Tied Anthony up.
Inside, ball 4. The Milwaukee pen is quiet. This is Will Smith's inning.
Good patience there by Rizzo. You see it time and time again to get in these late inning situations, and guys try to do something heroic and end up chasing a bad ball. Anthony took that big swing at 3-1. And that's what you want a slugger to do, be ready to hit there. But kind of wise that Smith didn't want to give in to him, so he was willing to accept his walk. Blazik, a right-hander, just now starting to warm up for the Brewers. Counsell trusting Smith here, the lefty, against a very dangerous right-handed hitter.
0-2.
Right-handed hitters batting .153 against the Fresh Prince with no home runs, so understandable that Counsell would trust him here.
Two to Bryant. 2-2. Early game tomorrow, then we head to the south side for the Crosstown Cup, part 2 on Friday. Two pitch, strike 3 call.
Must have been thinking off speed or breaking ball, because that heater was right there.
Bryant kept his hit streak alive with a homer. That's 9 straight games. Soler came in on a 10-gamer. He's gone 0 for 3. Look at Rizzo. There he goes. And that ball muscled out toward left center, caught by Segura. It's going to be a double play. Rizzo's already around second. And Segura now will make the throw to Lind to end the inning. So that'll be a 6-3 double play. To the 10th. Two tie. Right-hander Tommy Hunter will take over. We're here in the Budweiser patio beneath the right field board. You see Hunter's numbers in 4 games as a Cub since being acquired from Baltimore. Elian Herrera, 97 and a strike.
Hunter picked up a save in his first appearance. It was in Milwaukee, first appearance with the Cubs. One of, looked it up last night, I believe 7 different Cubs to record a save this year. Seems like a pretty high number. It is a high number. It's tied for the most in the big leagues with the Rays of Tampa.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. So extras, the Brewers 3-2, the Cubs are 10-5.
A red K's going up on the scorecard here late in the game, as is usually the case with all these high octane heaters we see.
Well, is David Ross going to get the win tonight? Because we started a game in the bleachers last year, and the game went 16 innings and ended with catcher John Baker getting the win. And David has already pitched twice. No ways to go before that. Jason Rogers bounces foul.
If we get to the 16th inning, we'll get John Baker on a phone and we'll do a remote. We'll get some analysis from John.
Rogers has been good in this role. His first career homer was against the Cubs. That is a rocket at the Northfield. And a 3-run shot off Phil Coke on May 9th.
That was a bullet, man. He turned that one around.
That'll bring up Peterson. 1 for 4. In the air, deep to left. The catch made by DeNorfia as he bangs up against the wall. A little padding there with the vines. And that will end the inning. Chris DeNorfia with a great catch. We're still tied at 2. Right-hander Michael Blazek.
He's got good numbers. 2.26 ERA, yielded about a 196 batting average. 55 2/3 innings. He's allowed just the 2 long ones. Hasn't been out there in a while. Has pitched on Thursday, 2 scoreless against the Padres.
Miguel Montero walking a run in the 5th. Loopy curve catches the inside corner. Blazek. Coghlan and Schwarber in the starting lineup, both taken out late. And a drive the other way. Cubs win! Cubs win! Montero does it! 3-2 the final.
Fire up the fog machine. Crank up the disco ball. All's well that ends well. Got away, but they got it back.
That ball was massacred to the opposite field. And our Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly, JD?
388 off the bat of Miguel Montero. Number 11 is a walk-off. Did he juice that ball? We're talking about it with him back, the length it gives this lineup. It's another dangerous bat down toward the bottom part of the order.
Miguel Montero, no doubt about it. We're sitting in right field, and it looked, I mean, right off the bat. Did you know it right off the bat?
I know I had it. I hit it pretty good. It was loud, huh?
It was really loud.
It was very loud, as is this crowd. I asked you the other day about the thumb, and I said, are you good? And you said, I'm good enough. And clearly, with that swing of the bat, you're letting everybody know that you are back.
Pretty happy to be back and help the team. You know, that's all I can do.
Rondon, again, that slider was amazing in the 9th inning, but the peril is, right, in the dirt. Look out, Miguel. Here it comes. Here it comes.
It's worth it, right?
It was worth it, yeah.
I wish I could do that every night. I'd take it.
Yeah. Last question, and we'll let you go. The slider for Rondon. I mean, he ended up striking out 3 in that inning, but every once in a while, ball's going to get away, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I got to block that ball, so I take the blame on me. Even the one before that, I got to make sure I block that, and rather than block it, I just try to pick it, you know, and that can happen. That can happen, especially one run game. You got to be better than that. So I take full responsibility for that, and you know what? It won't happen again.
Well, it's a game of redemption, man, and you got the payoff.
All's well that ends well, but the other thing about Hector is he can get out of that situation, so he knows that, right?
Yeah, no, he was, you know, he went through with the Giants, and he realized that he can get it done. And today he would have get it done again, and unfortunately the slider got away from me, but he did a great job.
Well, so did you. Nicely done. Thanks, Miguel.
All right, thank you, guys.
Wow. Miguel Montero with a game-ending home run. 3-2 the final. Oh, feels good.